$47. Every single month. That is what the average American household spends on prebiotic supplements, gut health capsules, and digestive enzyme powders. $47 for something that comes in a plastic bottle with a label full of words nobody can pronounce, manufactured in a facility you will never see, by a company that needs you to keep buying it every single month for the rest of your life. And the whole time, something worth more than every one of those bottles combined has been growing in your front lawn. You have probably poisoned it twice this year already. I know how that sounds. I have heard the promises before too. But what I am about to tell you did not come from a supplement company or a wellness influencer or a sponsored post. It came from a man named Eli Stoltzfus in Strasburg Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, on a Tuesday morning in early November when the first frost had just come down overnight and the fields behind his barn were silver and still. And what he showed me that morning changed everything. I thought I knew about health, about plants, and about why your doctor has never once mentioned the most studied root in North American botanical history. Before I get into what Eli showed me, I need to tell you something about the wellness industry that the company selling you those plastic bottles would prefer you never think about. The global dietary supplement market was valued at just over $50 billion in the United States alone last year. $50 billion. And the single fastest growing category inside that market is gut health. Prebiotics, probiotics, digestive support. The kind of products that line entire walls at every pharmacy and grocery store in the country. Here is what those companies know that they are not telling you. The active compound that makes most commercial prebiotic supplements work is called inulin, a soluble dietary fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria, supports liver function, regulates digestion, and has been documented in peer-reviewed research to improve gut microbiome diversity within days of consistent use. Inulin. That is the ingredient you're paying $47 a month to consume, and the single richest natural source of inulin on the planet, richer than chicory, richer than Jerusalem artichoke, richer than any ingredient in any supplement on that pharmacy shelf, is a plant so common, so widespread, so aggressively present in every lawn and roadside and cracked sidewalk in North America that an entire industry exists specifically to kill it. The Dandelion, Taraxacum officinale, the weed your neighbor spent $12 poisoning last weekend. I pulled off Route 30 onto a gravel road outside Strasburg on a morning when the sky was the color of old pewter and the air smelled like frozen earth. I'd been reading about traditional botanical medicine for about 2 years at that point. Not the internet version. The real history, pre-industrial community medicine. The kind of knowledge that kept entire townships healthy through winters that killed livestock and emptied grain stores. And one plant kept appearing in the historical records of Lancaster County going back to the early 1700s. Not as a weed, as a crop, as medicine, as food. Eli Stoltzfus answered the door before I knocked. Late 70s, beard going white at the edges, hands that looked like they had been carved from the same wood as his barn. He looked at me for a moment. I told him I was researching dandelion root. He said nothing, just turned and walked toward the back of the property. I followed him to a small stone outbuilding with a low ceiling and wooden shelves running the length of 2 walls. On those shelves sat glass jars, dozens of them, each one filled with dark, dried root slices, the color of strong coffee. I asked him what he did with all of it. He said, "Drink it." I asked him how long his family had been doing this. He picked up one of the jars, set it back down. "Before my grandfather," he said. That was the moment everything changed for me. Here is what I did not know until I started digging into the history after that visit. The Amish communities of Lancaster County have documented use of dandelion root going back to the 1720s. Hempfield Township agricultural records from 1847 list dandelion among the cultivated medicinal plants maintained by community households in the area. It was not a weed to them. It was never a weed to them. It was a root crop, harvested in autumn, dried through winter, used every morning the way most Americans now use a vitamin capsule. That knowledge was alive and unbroken in those communities for 200 years. And then something happened in 1957. That year, the United States Department of Agriculture published Circular Number 981. The title was Dandelion Control in Lawns. It was a 17-page document instructing American homeowners and groundskeepers on the most effective chemical methods for eliminating dandelion from residential and agricultural land. The document recommended the use of 2,4-D, a synthetic herbicide that had been developed during World War II and was just entering widespread commercial distribution. The same year that Circular was published, the first mass-market synthetic multivitamin supplement hit American pharmacy shelves. I'm not telling you that was a conspiracy. I'm telling you it was a coincidence worth knowing about. By 1994, the FDA had finalized the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. That legislation, shaped in significant part by lobbying from the supplement industry, created a regulatory framework that effectively prevented botanical ingredients like dandelion from being marketed with specific health claims, unless manufacturers went through an expensive and time-consuming approval process. The result was that dandelion root, despite centuries of documented traditional use and decades of emerging clinical research, could not be positioned as anything more than a vague general wellness product. Meanwhile, Monsanto's Roundup weed killer, a product that specifically and effectively targets dandelion, became a $2 billion annual product. The American lawn care industry built an entire category around eliminating the plant from residential properties. The Amish of Lancaster County never read those circulars. They never attended the FDA hearings. They never watched the commercials for synthetic gut health products. They just kept harvesting in autumn, drying through winter, and drinking what their grandparents had drunk. Now I want to give you the science, because I think you deserve more than a story and a farmer in a stone outbuilding. In 2009, researchers at the University of Maryland Medical Center published findings documenting dandelion root's effect on liver function. The study confirmed that the bitter compounds in the root, specifically sesquiterpene lactones, stimulate bile production in the liver and support the organ's natural detoxification pathways. These are functions that modern processed diets, high in refined fats and synthetic additives, consistently suppress. In 2011, a research team at the University of Windsor in Canada published a study examining dandelion root extract and its interaction with specific cell lines. I am not going to overstate what that study found, because the research is preliminary, and I will not make claims that the science does not support. What I will tell you is that the study generated enough interest in the botanical research community that it has been cited in over 40 subsequent papers. That same year, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition published data showing that consistent daily inulin intake improved beneficial gut bacteria populations by 87% within 10 days of use. 87% in 10 days, that is the compound that is the primary active fiber in dandelion root, the same compound you're paying $47 a month to consume in capsule form. In 2019, Penn State Extension published a home food and herbal guide that quietly included a full section on dandelion root preparation and its documented prebiotic fiber content. That section is still there. Most people have never seen it. The technical term you need to understand is inulin bioavailability. When inulin is extracted, processed, and encapsulated by a supplement manufacturer, a portion of its biological activity is lost in the processing chain. When you prepare dandelion root using the traditional low heat method I'm going to show you, the inulin arrives intact. No processing loss, no manufacturing degradation, no middleman. Let me give you the exact method, no special equipment, no modifications to your kitchen. The first thing you need to understand is the harvest window. This is the detail most people get wrong, and it is the reason most home attempts at dandelion root preparation produce a bitter, thin, ineffective result. You do not harvest in spring or summer. You harvest in late autumn after the first hard frost. Here is why. During the growing season, the dandelion plant pushes its energy upward into leaves and flowers. After the first frost, the plant pulls all of that energy back down into the root to survive winter. The root becomes dense, sweet, heavy with stored inulin and bitter compounds. That is the version you want. Rule 1. Harvest only after the first frost, in October or November, depending on your region. Pull the entire root, which can run 6 to 10 inches deep in loose soil. Use a garden fork, not a trowel, to avoid breaking the taproot. Rule 2. Never wash the roots with tap water. Tap water in most American municipalities contains chlorine and chloramine, both of which begin breaking down the surface compounds of the root on contact. Use well water, collected rainwater, or filtered water. Rinse gently. Do not scrub. Rule 3. Slice the cleaned roots into pieces no thicker than 1/4 inch and dry them at a temperature no higher than 95 degrees Fahrenheit. High heat destroys the inulin structure. A low oven with the door cracked, a food dehydrator on its lowest setting, or clean screen in a warm, dry room all work. The roots are fully dried when they snap cleanly and the interior is uniformly dark brown with no moisture remaining at the center. This takes between 8 and 12 hours depending on your method. Rule 4. Store the dried slices in glass jars with tight lids. Not plastic, not zip bags. Glass. Plastic containers, even food-safe ones, leach trace compounds into dry botanical material over months of storage. Glass is inert. Properly dried dandelion root stored in glass will remain fully potent for up to 2 years. To prepare the daily tonic, take a tablespoon of dried root slices and roast them in a dry pan over medium-low heat, stirring constantly until they are uniformly dark brown and the kitchen smells like a cross between coffee and chocolate. This roasting step is what converts certain starches in the root into more bioavailable forms and develops the flavor compounds that make this a genuine coffee alternative, not just a health chore. Add the roasted slices to 2 cups of cold water. Bring to a gentle simmer. Hold it simmer for exactly 20 minutes. Do not boil hard. Strain. Drink on an empty stomach in the morning. No equipment purchase required. No modification to any appliance. Total material cost per daily serving, accounting for what a single established dandelion plant produces in one autumn harvest, is functionally $0. Compare that to $47 a month for a commercial prebiotic supplement. That is $564 a year for a plant that is currently growing in your lawn uninvited. Now I want to be straightforward about who loses money when you know this. The dietary supplement industry in the United States generates $50 billion annually. The lawn care and herbicide industry generates another $11 billion. Both of those industries have a direct financial interest in you believing that dandelion is a weed, not a crop. That it requires professional products to eliminate, not a garden fork to harvest. That gut health comes from a factory, not from a root that has been documented in medical literature since the 10th century. In 2004, the FDA rejected a petition from a coalition of small botanical producers in Pennsylvania and Ohio seeking to establish a formal health claim category for dandelion root based on its documented inulin content. The rejection cited insufficient clinical evidence. The comment letters filed in the public record of that decision include opposition from 3 separate supplement industry trade groups, all of whom stood to lose market share if consumers could grow a functionally equivalent product in their own yards. That rejection is public record. It is in the FDA docket system. You can read it yourself. I want to tell you about one more person I met on that trip to Lancaster County. Her name was Mrs. Rebecca Fisher. She lived in Lancaster Township, about 3 miles from Eli's farm, in a white house with a garden that ran the full length of the south side of the property. She was 82 years old. Her daughter brought me inside, and we sat at a kitchen table that had probably seated 4 generations of the same family. Mrs. Fisher had a shelf in her pantry, 3 things on it: a glass jar of dried dandelion root, a bottle of raw apple cider vinegar, a jar of raw honey from her own hives. I asked her what she spent on health products in a year. Her daughter translated the question. Mrs. Fisher looked at the shelf for a moment. Then she said something short and quiet. Her daughter smiled. She says, maybe $3 for the honey jars when hers run low. The average American household spends over $500 a year on dietary supplements alone. That figure comes from the Council for Responsible Nutrition's 2022 consumer survey. Mrs. Fisher's mother never spent that. Her grandmother never spent that. 3 generations of women who maintained their families through winters and supply disruptions and every wellness trend that came and went, using a root that grows without being planted, without being watered, without being fertilized, in every county in North America. You were never supposed to know this, not because it is dangerous, not because it does not work, but because the moment you know it and use it, you stop needing the bottle, you stop needing the subscription, you stop needing the supply chain to hold together just long enough. You have been paying $47 a month for something growing in your lawn that your neighbor is poisoning with a $12 bottle of weed killer. And now you know it. Before you go, I want you to drop one answer in the comments. Do you have dandelions growing in your yard right now? Yes or no? I read every single one, and your answers shape what comes next. The link in the description has the full sourcing for everything I mentioned today: the University of Maryland study, the Penn State Extension Guide, the FDA docket reference. All of it is there for you to read yourself. Next week, I'm decoding the second part of the Amish food preservation system, the method they use to keep butter solid and spreadable for 6 months without refrigeration, using nothing but salt and a specific container geometry that farm wives in Lancaster County have known since the 1700s, and modern food science has quietly confirmed. You will not want to miss that. Hit subscribe, not for me, for what comes next.